Perfect.
Okay. So last class we basically started off with privity of contract, and we went to quite a few elements of it. But because there was a very long gap between what we have done and what we're going to do now, in order to understand what we're going to do now, not to start before we start on the new parts, we're just going to do a nice recap of everything that we have done so that you can connect them. Okay, so first of all, there are two rules to the doctrine of privity of contract. The first rule is that the third party cannot be made subject of an obligation imposed by a contract which has been not entered by it. So basically what it means to say is that if A and B enter into a contract in which A will pay B £50 if B bakes him a cake, if he bakes him a cake, then obviously there's no problem of privity. But the moment we say that A will pay B £50 if C bakes A cake, we have a problem of privity. We cannot have a contract between two parties which imposes an obligation or a duty on a third party. So that is the first rule of privity of contract. What is the second rule of privity of contract? The second rule of privity of contract is that if there is a contract between A and B with an objective of conferring a benefit to C, C does not have the standing to sue on that contract because he is not a party to that contract. And the first part of the rule, it doesn't really cause much of a problem, but the second part of the rule has caused a lot of problems. So basically, what is the second rule? That if I am not a party to a contract, I cannot sue to enforce the contract, even if the contract was made for my benefit. Okay? So there are two ways of this would actually have or hamper your rights. One is if I have a positive right under the contract. For example, if A and B contract that A is going to pay £300 to C, in that particular situation, I wouldn't be able to rely on it because C will not be able to enforce that promise. Why? Because he's not party to the contract. Secondly, even if I am trying to rely on a defense on a contract between A and B, I as a third party cannot enforce that or cannot rely on that defense. Is everyone with me so far? The reply would be nice.
Yes, miss.
Okay, good.
I have a problem with the first rule.
Miss, how many viewers do you have?
Because there's no post on Facebook that the class is going on.
Oh, really?
Miss, is there a button called stop broadcasting there?
Yeah.
And how many viewers do you have?
I have no idea. You don't have a link on Facebook?
No, miss, there is a post. So,
There is a link. There are any Facebook? Well, the button. Just check for that. Just check. There's no.
so 2 minutes आगे देखिए.
Okay, anyway, never mind. Let's just continue on with it. So we have A and B and then C, and basically you have a problem with the first rule. What is the problem with the first rule?
I wasn't here when you were explaining.
But now I'm explaining it to you. So what is the problem?
I don't know the first rule.
Now, miss, both of them. Miss, there's a benefit rule and then there's a burden rule.
Exactly. So basically, if I enter into a contract with B and I say that you are going to bake a cake if he gives me £50, what am I doing? I'm entering into a contract on your behalf and I'm imposing a burden on you. And as a rule of privity, I cannot impose a rule on a third party. I cannot impose a burden on a third party by entering into a contract with someone else. Clear? The The second rule is that even if a contract is entered between A and B for the benefit of C, C cannot enforce that contract in order for there to be, cannot enforce that contract even though it is made for his benefit, because he doesn't have the privity to the contract. Clear so far? Okay, so what is the two types of rules or the two types of things that we have? Number one is that I cannot enforce to assert a positive right. I cannot enforce to assert a positive right under the contract. So we will look into the case of Beswick versus Beswick, and we did this as well last class. What happened in this case was that a person entered into a contract with his brother. A person entered into his contract with his nephew, and he brought his nephew's business. So Peter basically brought the business of John, and the rule was, or the contract obligation was, that he was going to pay £6 per week to Peter for the rest of his life, and after Peter was dead, to his wife. So Peter gives John the business and the goodwill of the business, and John gives Peter £6 per week plus £1 per week to his wife after his death. Okay? So we have wife, okay? So the contract is between Peter and John. And until the time that Peter was alive, there was no problem. But the moment that Peter died, after a few weeks, John stopped paying the £1 per week to his wife. Clear? Now the question was, can the wife sue John on this contract?
From that rule, no.
The answer is under privity of contract and under the benefit rule, you cannot sue a person if you're not a party to the contract, even if the contract was made for your benefit. So in this situation, the wife could not sue John. Clear? We have written the second rule also down, which says that a third party cannot rely on a term as a defense if the term is contained in a contract between two other parties. So what does that mean? In order to understand that, we need to look into the case of, okay, for you to understand because we did get a couple of viewers here. Did we? Yes, we did. Okay. So there is another case called Scrotons versus Midland. You all have this written down, right?
No.
No? Qualified? Does anyone have that written down?
Why do I remember?
Okay, so let's first write these two rules down and then we'll continue with it, okay? The rule that a person, let's write this down. The rule that a person who is not party to a contract, the rule that a person who is not party to a contract cannot enforce the contract applies in both of the following situations. Applies in both of the following situations. Number one, where the third party is seeking to assert a positive right, where a third party is seeking to assert a positive right under the contract. Okay, this is the situation I just explained in Beswick versus Beswick. So write down Beswick versus Beswick right next to this point. And then write number two, where the third party is seeking to rely where the third party is seeking to rely on a term where the third party is seeking to rely on a term in the contract as a defense. And seeking to rely on a term in the contract as a defense. And this we're going to see in the case of Scruttons versus Midland. Can you tell me the facts of the case? No?
Oh, the House of Lords held that there is no law in the English legal system which allows.
You know, what are the facts of
Which
the
affects
case?
everyone.
Let's try to Simba, do you know the facts of the case? Okay, so we're just gonna, since we're recapping, why not? Okay, so what happened in Scruttons versus Midland, basically, let me just explain it to you like this. Say I actually sold some goods to you, okay? And I sold some goods to you, and obviously I have to transport that good to you. So say A and B entered into a contract for the sale of goods, okay? And B, who is the seller, entered into a contract with C, yeah, to transport the goods. To A. Here, so far? So what happened in this contract between A and B, there was a clause which said if the goods were damaged when B was transporting them, then B will not be liable for the loss. Typical exclusion clause, right? So they said B actually had a clause in the contract that if while transporting the goods are damaged, I will not take responsibility for the loss. Now, what happened was when B actually gave the consignment to C, C, or some of the workers and employees of C, actually ended up damaging the goods, okay? So A brought a claim against C, okay? A brought a claim against C that, you know, whatever good that you have damaged, you have to pay me the compensation. Now, C wanted to rely on this clause, which was in the contract between A and B. But as per the benefit rule of privity of contract, he could not. Clear? Did you actually understand?
But there was an exclusion clause.
Yes, but in this contract. There was no contract between A and C.
Yes, in between B and C, there was an exclusion clause that, like,
You will
if
be
C
exempted from the
damages
liability.
the.
Yeah.
He will be exempted from the liability. C or no?
Oh, gotcha.
But it did not mention C. Okay?
But it was in between A and B.
It was between A and B. So there was another contract between B and C, but it did not have any exclusion clause. So when A sued C, C wanted to rely on this exclusion clause because they were the transportation company. But the court did not allow it. They said that C cannot rely on this defense.
Wasn't the contract made in between A and B?
Yes, so that's why they said since C is not a party to this contract, he cannot avail this clause.
Oh, the contract was regarding the clause.
Yes.
You're not talking about the.
See, there was a term in the contract between A and B which said that when transporting the goods, if there is any damage done to the goods, then B will not be responsible. But this was between A and B. So A sued C. So the question was, can C rely on this clause? The answer was no, because he was not a party to this contract. Clear? Everybody clear? Okay, so let's, I've actually made you write this down before. So what the House of Lords basically stated was that, you know, there is no possibility that the third parties would be able to claim the benefit of the defense, which was contained in a contract between A and B. So there was no way that C could rely on this clause. Clear? Okay, so let's move on. We actually did consideration a couple of chapters back, and consideration and privity has a very interesting correlationship. One of the very important cases of consideration was Twiddle versus Atkinson. Do you remember the facts of the case? Good. কি হয়েছিল? Someone enlighten us.
There was a bride and there was a groom.
Yes.
The groom's father, or the bride's uncle, said that if to the father, the bride's uncle said to the father of the groom, that if you marry her, if you marry the bride, then I will pay you.
No, that was another case. So you're mixing it up. Okay, no problem. But good try. It's good that you're actually.
না ওইটা আঙ্কেলও বলছিল, তারপর আবার সানিল্লাহ প্রমিস করছিল। হ্যাঁ, তারপর কেউ জানে না।
I don't know. No, that wasn't Balfour versus
Balfour তো
ওটা হচ্ছে intention.
Okay, all right. Let's
name of the case.
ITCLR presumption.
Yes, which case are you asking for the name?
The case they're talking about.
Which case are you talking about? The son-in-law promises or the other person? The son-in-law promises is Roskula versus Thomas. And there's another
For marrying this girl.
yes. What is the name of that case?
Was it Twiddle?
No, that's not true. That is something, it starts with B.
Balfour versus Balfour.
No.
It's not Balfour versus Balfour. Okay, this is interesting. Tell me. Because I do remember the name of the case, but I want to see how far you do.
B versus Balfour.
Yep.
হ্যাঁ, আমার দুইটা পড়া হয়েছে, আঙ্কেলটা পড়া হয়েছে, সানিল্লাহটা পড়া হয়েছে।
It is performance of, okay. Performance owed to the promiser by a third party is good consideration.
When the stuff will already be done.
Yes. Past consideration.
Yeah, past consideration is not good consideration.
Well, Langley versus Bridge.
Really is
That's the key.
Pao consideration.
Bao Wan versus Lao Yu Lao.
That's one. Yes, Pao, that's past consideration. Yeah. Performance of an existing contractual duty owed to the third party is good consideration. So, anyway.
The past consideration is good consideration. No.
Past consideration is good consideration is Pao versus Lao Yu Lao.
That is past consideration.
That's past consideration.
Past consideration ki accepted. Past consideration
Hammer versus
accepted.
Sidway.
It's Hammer versus Sidway.
No,
It's not Hammer versus Sidway.
Hammer versus Sidway the Australian American case.
It's an American case.
And that's for not
Was
drinking.
it drunk?
Not drinking.
Drinking a
Or
party.
that is the same. Why do you?
Eastwood versus Kenya.
Which case?
That-
Shadwell versus Shadwell.
Oh,
Shadow versus Shadow card.
Relax, karo, I don't worry. There are three cases. One is Pawan versus Lao Yu Long, which is past consideration, can be good consideration if three conditions are satisfied. Then one is about the son-in-law promising to pay the father-in-law for educating his wife, but doesn't do so. So that's Roskola. And then we have third party, that's Shadwell versus Shadwell. Everybody clear? All right, so,
This isn't Eastwood versus Kenya তাহলে কি ওইটা তো হচ্ছে কি আঙ্কেল কে প্রমিস করে
that's Shadwell and Shadwell.
না যে মেয়েটাকে বিয়ে করলে টাকা দিবে
That's Eastwood versus Kenya, is good. Can someone get me a duster because I need to read this part?